We observe nature. Now, if that's being ridiculous or alternative, observing nature using chemistry and physics as applied, I don't think so. I think what's ridiculous is pooping in the kitchen concepts, high protein concepts, using high acid chemo battery acid basically to treat something that's already an acid. I mean, this is what's insane. And I didn't take off my glasses. You guys are something else. I love you all, man. Got a good family here, good strong family. Let me see, rules for inflammation, which my partner said I used to use ELISA tests for HIV and Hep B, etc., which is tested for the antibody, not for the virus. You could have a problem with yeast, and it would be positive. Every day you had a different control baseline. I know. Lab tests have flaws for sure. Big time. Good comment. Oh, big time. Big time. I mean, and you're only looking at the blood. You can kind of peek into the lymph system with the creatins, you know, and the liver enzymes and maybe some cancer markers and PSAs. You can kind of peek into the lymph system, and you can see what the lymph system's doing to tissue. But outside of that, you know, like we're talking about hormones and steroids, very ineffective in blood work, very ineffective. Not accurate at all. Good examples, a medical doctor called me kind of yelling at me about putting his patient on thyroid. And I said, well, who's your patient? And so we looked her up here, and here she had a list this long about the thyroid gland, and definitely her basals were low, she was cold, you know, all these symptoms. And he was ranting and raving, why was I doing that? And I said, well, take a look at these symptoms. And he said, and I said, aren't these symptoms of thyroid? He said, well, yes, but her blood work shows there's no problem. And I said, well, why don't you quit treating her blood work and treat your patient? The problem with that, he hung up on me, but the problem with that is, how would you treat your patient? Yes, with Synthroid or something thereof, T4. If you're smarter, you might go to T3, which is armor, but both of them make the thyroid weaker. And what about calcitonin? There's a calcitonin hormone in there. And what about the parathyroid? So there's no, and then a lot of medical doctors give Synthroid for TSH problems, and hear people on thyroid medications, and they see no improvement. I hear this a lot. They see no improvement on thyroid medication because it's T4. Their problem is TSH, and their problem is in the pituitary, not in the thyroid gland. And so they're treating the thyroid with T4, and the problem isn't there, so the patient doesn't feel any different. And so that's the kind of ridiculousness that's out there, you know. So we just got to get smarter as a team, all the healthcare people, and work together and start growing here. I already addressed this, I think, on the chemtrails. Again, I don't know much about the chemtrails other than what I hear. If this is a fact, somebody needs to you know, be made an example of, set up there, because this would be, but this, I wouldn't doubt it. I wish Jesse Ventura would do a thing on the chemtrails, get some planes up there and test the air. And they say it's been tested for all kinds of virals and HIV, and there's all kinds of claims out there. I have to say that I'm one of the guys that has to, you know, I'm still a little science. I like to see a little proof of that. Certainly I've never seen chemtrails like this ever before in my life growing up. Watching planes as a youth, you saw a little trail behind them, but you really never saw any major chemtrails like this. So I really don't know. I think if the government is, or people are trying to dump waste and spread them across the land, which I commented before, where the ranchers found nuclear waste in their fertilizers, I think man's just gone way too far, and the rectification needs to come here soon, you know, for that. Brood Strange. I thought that was a good comment you made there to Indiana Banana there. Yeah, about the difference between cooked foods and raw foods. Isn't that too bad, you know? And I liked how you put that. Institutionalized science, which is about right. They live in a box. You know, they're institutionalized themselves. That's the problem. They just, you know what? No one's turned on their consciousness. They're the followers, like the mice in a maze. and they are a labyrinth, and they just can't think outside of that because they're trapped in their thinking and in their mind. It doesn't make them bad souls, it makes them lost souls. And so this is the problem, is we have to get these people aware. And you guys are being a big part of this, the raw foodist people around the world. You know what, we're not going to stop. This has to happen. And so people have to wake up. And certainly, I'm not afraid to tell them to wake up. Oh, Lemonade, you did make a comment here about blood pressure, I think. 140 is not bad. I don't care about the systolic blood pressure. If you're on something for the adrenals, that might be pumping it up, honey. Something of ours, because we always put people on adrenals, you know. But the diastolic, your diastolic's perfect. 70s, 73, 4, that's perfect. 60s, 60 to 70 is a perfect range, but you know, that's not bad at all. I don't care about the systolic. That's the adrenal punch. And we could be punching that a little bit too strong. We'll see about that. Learn about the lymph, especially check out the... Okay. I appreciate 303. I appreciate 132. Thank you all very much. Love you all, man. Good comments here. My husband saying to me, I decided to see heaven right here in California. Absolutely. Thank you, Susan. Let me see here. My mother-in-law had her gallbladder removed over a year ago. She still has a lot of pain in her tummy and feels sick to her stomach a lot. That's why you just can't go remove things, because this is a systemic problem. This could also be in her liver. You know, if you have gallstones, you got liver stones. Sorry. You know, and she could do a liver gallbladder flush and purge what stone she has out of the liver. But remember, if her lymph system's backed up, it's in the wall, a lot of inflammation, acidosis, she's got to move her lymph system and get her bowels cleaned up and all that, because when pain is constantly there, that's not a good sign. You don't want to have pain constantly knocking on your door and you ignoring it, because pretty soon you're going to have some serious things to deal with, you know. Acids just don't take too mercy. It'll eat right through your skin. I mean, that's what acids do. And so if you saw someone with a highly acidic, inflamed, cancerous, and they don't... I had a lady that let her whole breast chew itself off. She was scared to go to medical doctors. And she let her whole breast chew itself off. And she had large breasts. And this one was just a piece of hamburger when she came in here. And it was bad. Once we started detoxing her, this thing started bleeding. Now, bleeding is good, because that's how you bring that alkaline chemistry and healing. That's how the body knows to heal itself, is bleeding. So it started healing up. She had told me that the medical doctors told her that that's how her lungs looked too. So she was having a harder time breathing. But she passed only after about less than a month on our program, because she was just, I guess, too ate up with it, waited too long. But it was neat to see what she could do in a month with this breast tissue, because it just looked like raw hamburger. And as it started healing up, it was amazing to watch the healing process, but it couldn't happen in her lungs fast enough, I guess. She just left in the middle of the night. Maybe she didn't want to face she owned a restaurant, and I guess she didn't want to face the work it took to get herself well. But gallbladder, stuff like this, you got to fix your liver now. You still got a liver in there, and you want to detoxify that liver, maybe a liver... Get on a raw food diet, or at least 80% for a while. Use the liver formulas, use the lymphatics, kidneys, adrenals, kind of clean up the bowels too. Clean that up, and then in about a month or two, do a liver gallbladder flush. That'll help her out immensely. Sleep paralysis. I found this interesting. I had insomnia and anxiety for 9 years because of this, and then I switched to 100% raw fruit diet in '06. Disappeared. The last 2 nights I've been returned to episodes. Well, Fruit Fairy, I don't know what to tell you, in the sense that it's a well-known fact that in detoxification your symptoms will come roaring back on you. I've commented this several times. And if you're on all raw, then you know that's what's happening to you. Why? You're detoxifying the sinuses, the esophagus, you know, all this could take place and trip the mind, you know, who knows, all of that. So just keep detoxifying yourself. You might work on something for the pineal gland, but just keep detoxifying the sinuses there. Clean up the bowels real good. Do some upper circ or something, you know, in brain and nerve, and see if you can strengthen some tissue here. But definitely your jaws had really tensed here and everything. Yeah, I mean, this is your limbs. But you could use upper circumbrain nerve just to strengthen some tissue up here, but definitely move your lymph system out of there. And then new thoughts will come in. What exactly is a fruit fast, Dr. Morse? It is simply eating fruits, doing mono fruits. You know what? I'll say that once you step off the very top with water fasting, then I think you could consider different levels of fasting. To someone that is an omnivorous eater, you know, a standard American diet eater, just eating all fruit is a fast. For some of us, it's just this life, you know. But for some people, eating all fruit is a fast. And so to them, I tell them to go on a fruit fast. In actuality, a mono fruit fast like grapes would be more like it. Like a 20, 30, 40-day grape fast, that'd be more like it. But you could even do two fruits, grapes and apples. I've seen that, grapes and lemons. So there is no rules out there. You can play with it all you want. Whatever you think you can do. You know, play with it. Everyone should enjoy water fasting to get an idea of that level of thinking, especially as a practitioner, because this is your expertise here. What we're talking about is your expertise. We're not into diseases. We could care less about that ridiculous consciousness of diseases. We're about health, and we're going to build your health. We talked about this yesterday, about starting your own practice. And you have to get the public interested in the fact that you're the one that can get them healthy. You're the one that knows the secret of how to get the body well. And detoxification is the golden key, and I use that a lot, and you can use that. Detoxification is the golden key that unlocks the inner world of health and vitality. You can use that in your advertising. Detoxification leads to cellular or tissue regeneration, genetic remembering. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can use to excite people to take a look at this. The world is turning raw. Why aren't you? You know, I mean, there's all kinds of neat things you could do. I've worked myself, like I said, I've done thousands of lectures, classes. I taught a class for years with a chiropractor, with kinesiology. I mean, I've worked this all my life. I went into different communities and lectured and took pictures. And I mean, I worked hard to build up where we are now. And there's times I quit. There's times I said it's not worth fighting the state. It's not worth that. You know, it's an eye-opener to realize what we've allowed our state legislators to do, and especially this last go around with Governor Bush, where he called me and there was hundreds of thousands of people from all the states down on Florida because they wanted to make naturopathy a felony. Well, they did. They passed it. And we fought. I fought hard. I wanted to impeach the legislator that introduced it. And a chiropractor on the state board called me and said, "You're not making any friends." And I said, "Well, why aren't you helping us? You can't pass laws like that. How about if I pass a law and made chiropractics a felony?" And Governor Bush said, "Well, this really isn't going to affect you guys. This is going to affect bull, liar." I love liars. They're really good people. You know, they make me sick. But that's the problem. So what they didn't realize is there's already a law in the books in Florida that forbids them to pass that law. They forgot to research their law. And my legal team found this. You cannot stop a naturopath from practicing in Florida, nor can you require them a license. And if they do, deprivation of rights is a very strong and powerful lawsuit.